The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Puff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh. Got my hustle on, no imitation of bad. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off season, homie, check the numbers. Heart throb in my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too feeble and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty.
Earnestly Podcast coming to you Tuesday, January 9th, 2023. A special birthday shout out to my grandmother who turns, I believe, 89 today. 89 or 90, one of the two. Also, shout out to my, obviously my father-in-law, who also birthday would have been today as well, too. On happy birthday, pops, as well. Anyway, Kyle Nash with us. Student Game Report. It's playoff time. First report of 2024, sir. Happy New Year, first off. Oh, wait. Like a frick I am, I had you muted still. I thought I muted you. Say it again. I apologize.
America is who lost during those seconds. Yes, and let me be among the last to wish you a happy 2024, Ernest Christian. May your takes be less goofy, and may the amount of time you be right more correct, and may your bets bring you just a little bit less in the red this season.
All right. So today, plug away. No, I'm joking. No, I'm pretty excited about this week, man. We got some really good matchups this week in football. NFL playoffs about to start this week.
We had some really great matchups, EJ Christian. They just all didn't deliver the way we would have liked here too in week 18, and then the national championship. We'll get into all that, I'm sure.
Let me ask you a question though before we get to football. What is the how long can you say Happy New Year for it's okay enough already? What kind of grace for you giving people?
So this is something that's a bit, what's his word, fluid in my mind. To steal from you and your BS excuse on Tool Time in the Huddle Up podcast. Bing! Bing. Like with us, this is the first pod of the year, so we're kind of obliged to do it. But just in general, what have you, like if you see somebody for the first time in a year within the first week, I think you're good to drop it.
So basically 7 to 10 days, pretty much.
Well, no, a week would be 7 days there.
Oh, okay. But we're technically 9 days in, so technically I'm actually breaking the rules. I'm saying
you didn't hear the caveat. See, this is why you get things wrong is you don't get all the information. Because this is the first Student of the Game report of 2024. We're kind of obliged to do it because it drops within January.
What if I did a report like late January or early February?
February would be right out. Late January, I'd be like, you're kind of nuts, but I would also assume it's right. A pre-recorded occasion.
And only that, why the fuck I haven't done a show in a month, asshole? That kind of thing. I'll get that.
You better wish me a happy year and beg for my forgiveness, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. Anyway, before we get started, we did this last year. We enjoyed doing this. We'll do it again. We're going to get postmortem grades to all the non-playoff teams this year. But first, quick reaction to Black Monday. We had 2 firings yesterday. Arthur Smith, of course, in Atlanta. Ron Rivera, no surprise, in Washington. Both got canned by their teams, the Falcons and the Commanders, respectively. No word of Bill Belichick yet. There's still meetings going on between him and Robert Kraft. Your thoughts on these transactions?
No surprises. Listen, I called Ron Rivera. I feel like years ago at this point, not literally years ago, but it may have been 2022 on the calendar where I started calling for it. And then when the ownership group officially changed, and I had those conversations with our good friend Kendi Waller of Bowie TV and Drew Willingham of Sartoba Media on the Student of the Game podcast. Bing! and also probably on Sartoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. Like Riverboat Ron sinking was the move. And I'd also said on this show many times, EJ Christian, I think the reason he's still in the building or was still in the building is because he was so close and essential to the day-to-day operations. You'll need other staff to replace him. So to do it like during the season or during a transition as big as an ownership change wasn't really a tenable thing business-wise. Now that that's kind of in the rear view here, it was time to rip the Band-Aid off. I completely see it.
Oh, it was obvious too. Like even like last year when they hired Eric Bieniemy as the assistant head coach, you and I said this too. It's a dead man walking. It's a bad. He'd have to probably go 10-7 plus just to have a shot to keep his job. You know, but that was on the wall from the word go. Honestly, man. To be quite honest, I mean, we all we knew was like, okay, will he be fired in the middle of the year or the end of the year? I figured he'd make it through the year, obviously, because
you say 10-7. I'll even go a bit more severe. He would have had to have won the NFC East and a playoff game to be
right, because that team is and that team that franchise in general is ripe for a clear overhaul, and not just because of him, but it's because of it's a new group. Daniel Snyder's gone.
You've seen those clues being dropped too, right? Sweat and Young being pulled off the D line and traded to the Bears and Niners respectfully. By the way, yet another reason to send thank you cards to the Washington Red Tails. Sorry, Commanders.
Yes. The other one, of course, Arthur Smith, Atlanta. I guess it's not overly surprising. We've heard rumblings.
Thinks Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder as starting quarterbacks is a good idea is obviously a failure of a head coach anyway. So
right, but your thoughts on that one? I mean,
I'm shocked. Well, not that shocked.
I'm actually surprised it was 3 years. I honestly thought he was only there 2 years.
Absolutely, yeah. I man, listen, I don't get why they kept him around so long. I'll say this: they did enough from their perspective to keep the Saints out of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That's about the only thing they did right from the Atlanta perspective, you know.
Yeah, I forgot this was his third year. The reason I would have said not in trouble because I thought it was this year too, and they showed progress last year.
Did they go?
I mean, compared to what we thought they'd be going to the year, everybody has a bottom feeding team. They won 7 games.
Do you have to be reminded that a losing team won the NFC South?
I understand that.
But how are they showing progress?
I'm just saying that when we did predictions 2 years ago, this was a 3-win team we thought, and they won. They more than doubled that. So
I mean, okay.
But they show regression this year too, also. So,
but how many of those wins are teams finding them in a bad spot? The Falcons seem to just have that ability. Here, I'll actually compliment the Falcons for the first time in a long time on
ever.
Not ever. Let's not get ridiculous. Shouts to Danny Thompson. He'll appreciate this. The Falcons have an ability to catch teams when they're down to take advantage, right?
Yeah.
Them beating the Colts a while back, I think it was 2 weeks ago, to essentially knock them out of the playoffs.
Yes, 2 weeks ago.
That's one example. The Colts are reeling just from all the issues and BS that they've had to endure, and the Falcons took advantage.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, last thing also, no word on Bill Belichick yet. Supposedly had a meeting yesterday. There's more meetings scheduled between him and Robert Kraft and about his future with the Patriots. I guess my question is this, because the big news that no one's talking about is that according to Hoodie, he is willing to take a step back on personnel to keep his job.
What have we been saying? I'll say these two things. A, him relinquishing that power is the first step to keeping him in the building. And it also accomplishes the thing that coaches allege they want, which is more time with their family. And as Bill Belichick gets older, so too does his kids and his wife and all that other stuff, right? Or girlfriend or whoever it is. I forget if he's married or not. Punchlines list. Right. That's step one. I'll say this too. If he were to be fired, that Band-Aid would have been ripped off because Belichick is one who holds grudges and has shown in the past that he's going to move off of something on the quick. So if he's wheeling and dealing with Robert Kraft right now, The longer this takes, the more I'm starting to edge, especially with the news of him being willing to relinquish power, right? The more I'll just say it boldly here. I'm gonna call that I think at this point he's gonna get retained. I could be wrong, of course, but
I'll be honest, I'm trending that way also too. I think him saying that
is everything
and making it public means that okay, let's give it one more go. And if I mean, who are you gonna get? I mean, you get you 5 Belichick, cool. I understand, you need new scenery, that kind of thing. I get that whole narrative, but who are you getting in the media right now?
I mean, Jim Harbaugh probably wouldn't go to New England. I feel like.
No, he won power too, and rightfully so.
Maybe,
and rightly so. To be honest with you,
rightly so. I mean, listen, we saw what happened. We saw who lost when he and Trent Baalke went to war. Jim Harbaugh lost. No. The San Francisco fan base lost, and now the Jags fan base will continue to lose because Trent Baalke stayed in the NFL while Jim Harbaugh left.
Right, exactly. I'm with you there. All right, let's get to the final grades. Of course, like we said, we do all the non-playoff teams final letter grades. Of course, next week we'll get all the losers of the Super Walker weekend letter grades. And
do we want a national championship breakdown now or after?
We'll do it after. I have it in order already. So that was the last thing on the docket. So, all right, first team first. We go alphabetical order. The Arizona Cardinals, who finished 4-13.
I mean, so we never had very high expectations for the Cardinals. I think that's safe to say, right? Back in July, I picked the Cardinals to win 4 games. They obviously did a touch better than that.
No, they matched it. They
matched it, excuse me. But the 4 wins they did get are interesting. And then the wins I feel like they should have gotten, they didn't. I really don't know what to think of this team. It's very confusing. They had to deal with a number of injury situations. They managed to card out Kyler Murray. We're hearing talks of them tanking, and they failed to do it. Maybe it's out of mercy, but I'm inclined to give them a D+ or like a C-. That laugh, I feel like you know the vibe I'm getting at here.
That's exactly where I'm at. C-. That's exactly where I'm at. Because again, when we did a preview with Zach and Chris, I said this team was a candidate for 0-17 when the year started.
You did. I always thought that was a little.
I mean, I didn't say that get there. I just said that if you think about a team who can go 0-17, they're the top candidate for me.
We all know here on the Earnestly Speaking podcast what your technique is. I don't want to outright say this has happened because I would look wrong again. So I can sit on the fence by using that candidate terminology. But
right. But the 4 wins, interesting. They beat the Eagles, beat the Cowboys, beat the Steelers, 3 playoff teams. I mean, I get it. So C- to me, they did way better than I thought they'd be. They were competitive in spots of the year. They went through a quarterback not controversy, but you have Josh Dobbs, and they go from Josh Dobbs trading him away to Kyler Murray. And I thought, considering all the optics come to the year, this was actually a progressive year. I hate to say that 4-13 team being progressive, but
I just lied. I'm looking at my predictions here. It was Jonathan Mathis, the sports judge, that said 4-13. I said 3-14.
Oh, he didn't beat that.
So so they did beat it. Okay,
there you go. Makes sense.
Reading
all right.
Mental.
The team we mentioned a little while ago earlier, the Atlanta Falcons, who were 7-10.
I picked the Falcons to go 7-10. They just looked absolutely disgusting doing it. I'm not going to give them an F, as predictive as that might be. I'm going to laugh at Danny Thompson picking them to win 10, just as I did probably on that episode of the.
That was cute, Danny. Good job.
Podcast. Bing. But I nailed 7-10 here. I C. C- because they you would have had to won the division to make me feel like you're worth my time.
No, I went D because, again, same thing. I have them 7-10 also too. It's the way they got here. There were opportunities for them to actually win some other games, and they blew it based on internal things, based on bad coaching and whatnot, which is why other players should have gotten fired. The Bijan Robinson thing was kind of a failure in some ways because they, not because of Bijan himself, because of all the stuff about playing him certain games and not getting enough carries certain games, and so I feel like a lot of that was internal.
This sounds like a checklist of why you feel like coach should have been fired, and I'm okay with it. I'm just letting you know what it sounds.
Right. I mean, to me, a lot of their issues in a division that was up for the taking up until week 18, was self-inflicted.
Complete power vacuum in the NFC South. That's a good call by you.
Right. So D for me is disappointing for me, unfortunately, for the Falcons. All right. Staying in the NFC South, the Carolina Panthers, who were the worst team in football at 2-15.
Boy, did I miss big on them. I thought they could be sneaky good. I picked them to win 7 games. They did not. You know what? I effed around. Now they're going to find out. I'm going to give the Carolina Panthers an F. Not only were you bad this season, you completely screwed yourself over by swinging for Bryce Young. And now you also enhanced another team in the conference. You are so bad, someone else has the potential to get better. Now, that's Chicago. More on that later. So the actual threat of that has yet to be seen. But, yeah, F.
You got a bad team, bad pick and quarterback. You're first pick in the draft. Oh, no, you do not. That pick is gone to Chicago, as you said. And a bad owner. An owner who won't take accountability. He's mad he fires Frank Reich when, in fact, he was the one that actually went after who wanted Bryce Young.
And I blame you.
Yeah, so, you guys are lost. F as well, too, here.
Yeah, we can't throw a drink in his face. This is the best we can do.
Exactly. All right, next, you just mentioned it. Next up, Chicago Bears, 7-10.
Yeah, the Bears I picked to win 8 games, but I don't feel like they're weird, man. Like they won a lot of games they shouldn't. They came on better in the second half. I probably graded them down in the midterms because they were underperforming then, and they pulled it back up. I had them potentially sneaking into the playoffs with 8 wins, but I also thought the conference would be a lot worse than it was. So I'll give credit to the NFC on the whole. Give me a C, and I'm inclined to go back and change the grade if I find tampering. Meaning, if they don't fire Eberflus and move on from Fields, I'm going to cut the grade down, because if you don't do that, you've learned nothing from this season, and you should be held back a grade.
I'm going to C-. So same idea as you. Let me ask you this: what is the play here for Chicago? If you are ownership,
reboot.
So just trade Fields, draft the quarterback.
I feel like whatever coach you're trying to get, and a lot of the scuttlebutt is that it's Harbaugh, which some days I think that's absolutely ridiculous. There's no way he'll do it. Some days I'm like, you know what? Maybe so. Because if there's a conference that's closest to being the Big Ten in the NFL, it's the NFC North. That's just kind of the look and feel, in my opinion.
Right.
And then over and above that, they've still got a huge power vacuum. I get it. The Packers made the playoffs, and they did it as one of the youngest teams on average in the on the roster to do it since like the 60s or something stupid. But there's potential here if the right coaching staff gets in the building and they have the opportunity to be handed. Listen, here's a check, go into Whole Foods, get your groceries, get it done, right? And notice how I said an expensive premium grocery store, not just a run-of-the-mill one. I would say Winn-Dixie, but nobody up north knows what that is.
No, I'm with you too. Like I lean on the it's too enticing not to reboot. Plus the financial also benefits of that too. Also by rebooting,
you can actually get something for Justin Fields now.
Right,
sell high.
Yeah, you get him something as high as he is now. He may be higher than he is now. You get to also get a quarterback in a draft, first pick, and have 3-4 years of him on a rookie deal.
Of a full rookie deal, whereas you'll have to pay Fields very soon, correct?
Way too tempting. I agree. But C-.
Nice. I say essential. Like, if you don't do this, you have proven you're a garbage front office.
And by the way, if there's any team that the Bears that can fit Harbaugh and should go after Harbaugh, that's that team. The Bears absolutely should go after him without question. That's a culture changer right there.
I'd take him back in San Francisco, but I don't think anyone's firing Shanahan, and rightly so.
Right. All right. Next one here: the Cincinnati Bengals, who were 9-8.
My instinct is to give them an incomplete because I predicted them winning. Was that
Super Bowl? Win the Super Bowl.
I did predict them winning the Super Bowl. I did. I had them winning 11 games, as a matter of fact. The fact that Joey Burr was on such untenable status as often as he was, and they still were essentially one game bleeding short of cracking 10 wins and making all four teams in the division happen. I know they didn't make the playoffs. I know a team that doesn't make the playoffs getting an A is going to sound weird, so I'll give them a B+. But let's be real. They're one game away from getting 10 wins, and whether they were left off or not, that's an A performance in my mind. That all being said, that down the stretch, they weren't able to handle what they needed to handle. They managed to lose to the Browns, playing Jeff Driscoll. That's enough to knock you out of A- to B+ territory, in my opinion.
So I struggle with this one because I went between B and C for the same things you're saying also too.
Harsh,
the
man.
optics, because the optics, like, again, losing Joey Burrow, losing Chase was the game down the stretch,
one game
and still right, and still being a game away from making the playoffs anyway. And that schedule too also was not easy going forward in the end.
I mean, if you're thinking about giving them a C, you're punishing a student for one of the parents cheating on the other parent at home, and that child dealing with that drama and still coming to class every day, still studying hard, and still acing most of the tests. And then unfortunately, there was a really big blow up at the house before the final, so the kid didn't perform as well on the test as he could have. And now you want to give him a C because of it? No. He still deserves a B+.
No, and that's what he's getting.
Oh, okay.
I'll say I struggled. The record versus the situation. No, I have to give him B because, again,
got you.
All these things, they were still in the mix.
Because otherwise, I was gonna report you to the teachers board for just being entirely too harsh on this child.
And by the way, first division in what, in 60-something years that they all 4 teams winning records.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? But having a bunch of winning records in a row doesn't matter, EJ Christian.
Yeah, apparently.
At least that's what Steeler fans tell me. # Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's all the argument there, man. Again, so I give him a B. All right, next one. Denver Broncos 8-9.
Boy, this is weird. Like,
hard too. This is tough also.
Well, here's why it's weird. And I don't want to necessarily say tough. I feel like it's tough in the sense that there's a lot to process, right? To give I have to offer this too, because I a portion of the grade, as we established in the midterms, is do you over or underperform my expectation, right? I had the Broncos going 9-8. They finished with 8 wins, right?
Correct.
So it's not that they were short of the mark. It's how they were short of the mark. If they weren't peeing on their own feet with Sean Payton doing what he did, getting all the bad press and getting that all the bad attention and threatening to sit, being involved with threatening to sit Rusty because of his contract number and setup and all that, they might have gotten that one win to get to 9 to meet my expectation to where I'm willing to work with them. But now I have to be punitive in my grading instead for the self-inflicted wound. I'd be inclined to give them a C+, B-. Instead, I'm going C-. To remind Sean Payton that in my class, I don't tolerate that kind of ego. Although it's adorable watching Nathaniel Hackett think he deserved a game ball for beating you.
Oh, no. You're not on the same page. I see minus also too. For a lot of the same things you're saying. No.
After you stealing my notes, like, what are we doing?
10 years later, 11 years later. No, but
learn. That's a great point.
But the thing is, though, like, they started slow. And we get that. And yes, that was all self-inflicted. Then they made ground. They actually got into the playoff race. They were literally 2 weeks ago, like one of the wild card spots. And then the whole thing with the handling of the Russell Wilson thing, it was very bad taste in my mouth.
Well, that and losing to the Pats in week 16, losing to the Raiders to the season.
Yeah.
Barely beating the Chargers by a touchdown. I think that's more about the Chargers being bad than anything else. More on that later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, with that all in mind, yeah, I said what I said.
I think my thing now is if we're believing that the Russell Wilson relationship with the Broncos is over, how much pressure will be on Sean Payton immediately from next season on? Because you're the one saying he's not the guy. Okay, cool. Let's go.
Here's the thing. Whether or not Rusty is the guy isn't the question. And frankly, I'm surprised that you're wording it that way, because you've been the one that's very eloquently stated the actual way to describe it. He's not worth the return on investment.
Right.
The Broncos are installed an artificial ceiling because they can't bring in free agent assets, essentially, meaning that Sean Payton will have to draft his ass off.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that. See my.
Okay. All right. Next one. The Indianapolis Colts, who are 9-8.
You know, as I scroll through here, you know, I'll peek back behind the curtain. I have my list of picks here from the season to help me kind of guide my grading process here as we walk through. I had the Colts winning 5 games. They dramatically overperformed that. And I'm sure the name Shane Steichen's going to come up at some point in the Student of the Game podcast with Mikey Byrne here this week as we do the NFL end of season awards. Bing! Now, this dude competed for playoffs with a team that I said would only win 5 games. That's praise enough. That's high praise. Then your rookie quarterback, who actually looks pretty good when he stays healthy, gets replaced by Uncle fucking Rico. Here doing this. I mean, how do you not give this team an A?
I'm with you too. A as well, because I had them being 3 wins, 3-4 wins tops when you started. So they more overperformed. They were literally if Goodman, his name is drop that ball, they might get in the playoffs right now on Saturday night. So just that. A, easy answer on that one. I mean, they more perform on that one. All right. Okay.
Uh-oh.
The Jacksonville Jaguars, 9-8. Go.
Yeah. Listen, they started strong. They finished poorly. I don't think it's all their fault. I think that the Duval Devout, as angry as they're going to be, are going to read my top 5 moments piece that's about to drop on the Jaguar Report. Bing! And they will acknowledge the franchise caliber positives that did happen in 2023, but they're going to be miffed that they didn't meet expectation, and that's obviously worth a penalty. I feel like they did a lot of things that were good, but I think that Cincinnati Bengal game on Monday night should have been an occasion and a spectacle, and instead it was a worst case scenario catastrophe for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And they were not the same since, right? 1-5 in the final 6. 0-3 against the AFC North, yada, yada, yada. That being said, they started too strong, and a lot of people on the Huddle Up podcast panel, struggle with recency bias. I do not. For me, they're a C because their first half of the season was that strong. Then the injuries hit, and it all kept going wrong for them in a lot of ways. So I think this starts with a bad draft. I think I'm correct in being critical of the drafting of Brandon Strange and Tank Bigsby as a tight end and running back when they clearly needed an O-lineman and a DB. I wanted them to get Joey Porter Jr. when he was very well on the board on the 2nd and 3rd rounds, as it would turn out. And they needed more offensive line help when they opted to extend Cam Robinson 2 years ago. That's problem 1. And problem 2 being they refused to augment the interior line any more than they did. That being said, I don't know that we're holding necessarily last year's draft performance against this year's grade, but yeah, I got the Jags with a C.
This is tough because the temptation is you look at the way the season's playing out. Oh, failure, because you guys are the favorites coming to the year. You guys are 8-3 at one point, and then you guys fell apart. So temptation to go full board, go F. But I also realize it's not all their fault either, too. Injuries. You miss Christian Kirk. I know Lawrence missed a couple of games here, toward the back end of the year. So, okay, do you juggle you juggle the expectations versus what happened versus the context of what happened? I go D plus because again, gotta win one game, man. You win that Tennessee game, you're in, and all that stuff is wiped away.
Here's the thing.
That's the tough part. So it's a disappointment to some degree.
No Christian Kirk,
right?
No, Trevor's limited. Trevor Lawrence is limited at quarterback, and the Titans players, especially Derrick Henry and that offensive line, are playing with a reckless abandon, the likes of which you hadn't seen all season, EJ Christian. Like, they played the Jags in Everbank earlier in the year and got worked, okay? Mm-hmm. And granted, Will Levis was the quarterback and committed some turnovers. That was some of it. I think this is the one instance where Ryan Tannehill was the better player because he was less inclined to turn the ball over than Will Levis, as I said it. But I think listen, you alleged to be an NBA guy. You saw what Kobe did his final game. It's pretty clear that this is Derrick Henry's final game in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And all of them played out of their goddamn minds. Folaronso Fatukasi, defensive tackle, was pushed all over the field by a sorry Titans offensive line.
That's why that game scared me going to it, like the Tennessee games. The division rival, spoiler, the whole nine. Yeah. Ugh. I mean, look, I was better than the record. I just felt a little let down. Even though I know the context of it, I felt a little let down. Let's get one more win, man. One more win.
I got you. D plus, that's a bit strong. And granted, what if Trevor Lawrence actually runs the called play on fourth down in the red zone instead of trying to do the hop over?
Kyle, to be fair, my first instinct without any context was to go F.
Well,
but no.
That would be just stupid.
Right, but they had to use context, and again, it was all their fault. So
now granted, if you want to give them an F because they're scapegoating the defensive staff, the part of the fucking ball that carried this team all year, cool. But
Right. All right, next team here. The LA Chargers, who are 5-12.
F. Next.
Yeah, same here. F. I almost went D minus because they had the smarts to actually fire Brandon Staley finally in the middle of the year, but too little, too late there. But no, F. It's easy F.
A, B. They should have fired him going into this season. So
right.
No.
Right. Exactly. All right. Next one.
Actually, F is punitive. We tried to tell them, but they wouldn't listen. Anyways.
Yeah. All right, Vegas Raiders 8-9.
God, you want to talk about difficult? Like,
yeah,
okay, this is hard. This is hard. No, this one is hard. Like, you made a bunch of ass moves going into the season, and then your boy Antonio Pierce comes in and gives them a coaching jolt. They win double the games I predicted them to. I'll say a C. They're still not an obvious threat, but they've shown they can at least be worthy of possible mid-tier status upcoming. Mm-hmm. Their quarterback situation is still just not great. Not great, Bob. Who knows? Maybe they'll be in the Justin Fields sweepstakes. I have no idea, but yeah, I don't need to build on that.
Maybe I'm a little biased here because I love AP so much. But I also didn't have any expectations of this team also this year either. I thought they'd be a 3-4-1 team as well. And they more than doubled that, number one. And it did it with the Garoppolo injury and Aiden O'Connell not playing great football.
Hold on. The sun shined on a dog's butt on that. Let me be clear.
Okay.
Jimmy getting hurt helped this team.
You can argue that.
Hold on. I'd hate to make the comparison, but Geno Smith getting his jaw broken for the Jets improved that team. Mm-hmm. Okay? Like, I'm not giving them credit for serendipity. They were dumb enough to bring Jimmy Grops in the building in the first place in a situation that does not fit.
This is true. This is why I'm winning no more than 4 games. That move did not move the needle for me. That's why I was like, oh, Garoppolo. Why? I don't.
Point Antonio Pierce and I mean, I'm not going to give McDaniels because the S is for sucks any credit for that, I guess. But like, they did make the best. What is it? Success is the intersection of opportunity and luck. There's a reason why Antonio Pierce got some. I got you.
They identified the problem with McDaniels. They identified the problem. They got rid of him, and his team got competitive immediately after. I'm gonna give him a B.
Wow! Whoa! full-on B.
AP, baby. AP. Look, they're 8-9. They were literally in the playoff race like up to week 17.
Homer.
So,
Homer.
just saying.
Homer.
All right.
Homer.
Next one. Minnesota Vikings, 7-10.
Homer. No, that's for the Vikings, not the Wow.
That was me, by the way, not the soundboard.
You cheering them always made me numb in my skull. God, they are who we thought they were. And EJ tried to let them off the damn hook. I'll tell you what. I picked the Vikings to win 8 games, and they didn't even deliver on that. They were frauds from last year. I'm trying not to be punitive of that because that's last year. You lost a game 13-10 on Monday Night effing Football.
The 12-10. Was it 12-10?
No, it was
field goals.
10.
Okay.
I mean, I could see why you'd say so.
Bears out on field goals and stuff.
Maybe, you know what? I'll just click the button here and real quick to figure it out. But I'll put it this way. Regardless, 12-10, 13-10, your mama's a 10, whatever. Okay? The point is that sorry game where you lost to the Bears is what kept you from making the meeting my expectations. Yeah, you're right. It was 12-10. Well played, DJ Christian. See, I'm glad I looked it up. That actually even makes it worse. So yeah. Oh God. C-.
See, that's the problem with this too, is that I had him being much better, but again, context matters. You lose Cousins.
Okay, just because you made a bad prediction.
Oh no, but dude, I have C- also for the record.
Okay.
Because you gotta use context too. They actually surged in the middle of the year.
Cousins makes sense for you.
Going through 4 quarterbacks, the Cousins gets hurt. You have that rookie quarterback Jared, whose name is, doesn't matter because he's not really that good. You have Josh Dobbs a little while, was the kind of thing for a couple weeks, and then of course Nick Mullins.
Yeah,
and this team was actually in the mix for a playoff spot too, also up until this week.
Josh
so
dramatically collapsing.
I can't necessarily kill them for this. Obviously, they way below my expectations. Of course, I hadn't won the division, but that's all on the impression that Kirk Cousins would be playing quarterback.
But you wouldn't listen,
right? So, but I'll get C- because of context. I'll give that. All right. The Patriots, New England Patriots, 4-13.
F. Next.
Same here.
What are we doing here? You can't retool your team with a bunch of tools. I mean, they might as well call you up to participate in tryouts, EJ.
And I thought they also mishandled the Mac Jones situation too, especially. That was mishandled by Belichick and company.
Part of it was Mac Jones being difficult, and we didn't really understand that part of it too.
Right.
I think it's a bit of column A and B in my opinion.
Right. Good point. All right. New Orleans Saints, 9-8, number 1 seeds. I'm joking, of course.
Yeah. You see, here's why it's tough for me. I had them winning the division, but they were 2 teams that outperformed what I predicted. Not 2, 1 team that outperformed what I did, and that would be the Bucs. I thought the Bucs would be a lot worse. Baker Mayfield did a lot better than I thought, so they didn't get the division. And they managed to secure the division. Like, there was a division winner. There's all that. For me, it's tough because this whole division is a wash. I really don't care who won it. Mm-hmm. The Saints missed by my prediction by a single game. I picked them going 10-7. They went 9-8. I knew there would be some roller coasters with Derek Carr, and there was. Foster Moreau not catching the ball at the end of the game on Thursday night against the Jacksonville Jaguars with 30 seconds left is what makes them miss my expectation. So because of that, I'm going to put them right at a C. They should have won a division that's trash and didn't because a guy couldn't make a catch. Yeah.
I straddle between C- D+, honestly. Because I thought it'd be a lot better than they were this year.
You would straddle with the D, wouldn't you?
No, not B. Hell no. C- D+.
No, I said D. It's a EJ Chris.
Oh, yeah. I heard B. That's what I'm like, B. What are you talking about? Shut up, Kyle. I'll go C-, but it still feels disappointing. I thought they were a shoe in the division this year.
Yeah, it did feel that way. But listen, Baker Mayfield overachieved. I think that's clearly the story of the NFC.
Comeback player of the year.
No, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, Flacco.
We'll leave out the part where somebody literally came back to fucking life to play this year.
I mean, that's a sentimental pick. Sentimental pick.
No, not sentimental.
Did he play this year at all?
Yes, he's a fucking starter.
Oh, okay.
Jackass.
If
there wasn't the DeMar Hamlin thing to consider, of course, it would be Joe Flacco. Are you fucking gore? I don't care. If you want to claim he didn't play enough games, whatever. The way you people, being you, Jim, Matt, anybody that I talk to, basically, oh my God, but it's Joe Flacco. Even Big Cat Country's Travis Holmes, who I do the Duval dive with. Bing! It's Joe Flacco. Yeah. You keep saying that because you're that surprised. So, yeah, I would have Flacco ahead of Nick.
Well, that's about Flacco, more about the fact that it's, the whole story. It's telling the whole 17 games.
It's the best division in the goddamn league. It's.
I mean, let's be clear here, Kyle. This team was winning games even without Deshaun Watson before Flacco got there. I'm not saying Flacco's not getting credit for that. I'm just saying this. It wasn't like they weren't winning games. It was like they were floundering, and then he got steroids into winning games.
When he was asked to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, whose defense is their strong point, he did it. And they didn't have the top running back on the squad at that point.
It's certainly the coolest story of the year, I will tell you that.
But yeah, no, Baker Mayfield, I mean, he outperformed, but he didn't wow me. So no. And he damn sure doesn't get it over DeMar Hamlin. Are you out of your fucking mind?
Apparently I am. All right. Oh, boy. Here we go. New York Giants, 6-11.
I mean, they are who we thought they were. Actually, no, they're even worse. I picked the Giants to win 8 games. As bad as the Danny Dimes signing is, him getting hurt was even worse. And you still found shining motes with, Tommy Cutlets or whatever his name is.
DeVito.
I mean, I'm glad to, I know it's DeVito, but like Cutlets is funny. I don't care. Tyrod Taylor even did his part.
He's pretty good this year, actually, Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, listen, I think he's that poor bastard is probably one of the most underappreciated players in league history.
And let me say this real quick.
Yeah.
And you saw how it played out this year. Because of how valuable backup quarterbacks are, that dude will have a job and making good money for a good while.
Well, I don't know how old he is. That's an issue. So,
it's hard to tell. Black don't crack, so it's hard to tell.
I mean, I could always look it up, but I'm feeling too lazy.
No, I'll look for it now. Go. You keep talking.
Listen, as the punchline goes, like I picked the Giants to win 8, and they couldn't even do that. Your coach of the year is exposed like Janet Jackson in 5 halftime shows. There's just whole bunches of awful, whole bunches of overrated. You've been proven wrong yet again, as well as the lamestream media, and making him the 2022 coach of the year. And yeah, I have the Giants getting, I'll call it a D+.
I'm there too, D as well. By the way, he's 34 years old. He has a lot of time in him.
No, he doesn't.
Hey, hi, hello. Joe Flacco says hello.
Okay, buddy.
Joe Flacco is 39 years old, starting quarterback for a possible team going to Super Bowl this year.
Yeah,
calm down.
Person you're going to cite, freaking Tom Brady. Like, listen.
He has at least 5 years. 5 years. I know he's a good arm.
Does not have Joe Flacco's style of play. I don't think he has 5 years. I'll leave it.
We shall see. I went D though. Anyway,
yeah, of course,
which is an improvement because when we did the midterms, they were F++. Remember?
Yeah, no, they pulled games out the ass with the veto.
They played better. They actually came out in the wild card like by week 16. So
okay, hold on. That's the conference, not the team.
I understand that, but considering where they were when the year started, not too terrible. But one D though. Ultimately, the situation is this. Lot to take care of there. Saquon probably getting front again, which sucks for him. But we'll see what happens there. All right, staying in New York, the Jets 7-10.
Here's the thing. Everyone else had expectations for the Jets where I wasn't as bad off as Matt Muehlheisen being like they'll make the playoffs or miss the playoffs rather. But I did have the Jets winning 10 games. And then Aaron Rodgers, oh my God. The fact that this team was playoff relevant as long as they were and still got 7 wins, in my opinion, is somewhat of an accomplishment. I know closing the year, they were kind of powder puffy. It felt like they were just kind of writing it out. I don't believe Robert Saleh should be fired. He might be. It wouldn't be surprising because of the fickle nature of the league as A, and B, the Jets as a franchise, there's a reason why they're called the goddamn Jets. So, I'm going to say, I'm going to give him a C. If Rodgers was in place and all this happened, I would give them an F, mostly to be punitive, to think that Nathaniel Hackett was a good idea. But I will give them a C for achieving what they did with the roster they had as a self-imposed wound, I would also reckon. But they'll have time to change that in the offseason, I think.
No, dude, C as well. I wouldn't C as well. Context matters. No Aaron Rodgers. They were competitive most of the year. They only tanked. They only fell apart after their playoff lives were decided, pretty much. Going through Zach Wilson, all of that situation. There's no doubt that Aaron Rodgers is healthy. They definitely are probably a playoff team. The way this team played and competed. Saleh will be the coach next year. He's a Rodgers guy, so Rodgers will protect him, of course. No, C's where it should be, honestly. Considering everything played out, taking credit. All right. The Seattle Seahawks, 9-8.
Yeah. I picked them to win 10 and be in the playoffs, which they nearly did. They missed it by a game, and I think the issue was obviously the Rams in all their unpredictable glory.
Mm-hmm.
The issue, right? You could complain, they should have beaten the Steelers. The Steelers are also a playoff team, by the way. They should have beaten the Cowboys. Well, the Cowboys, they were in Jerry's world. There's no real game that jumps off the page or I say, oh, yeah, the Seahawks totally blew that one. They should have won it, except for maybe 17-16 Rams. Like, this team is 1 point away. Well, 2 points technically. Away from doing exactly what I expected of them. And it was those damn unpredictable Rams that done bleeped up the rotation. So I'm inclined to give the Seahawks a B+ here. Maybe I pat it down to a B- because it's the NFC. But their schedule, not an easy one, right? And AFC North, not a cakewalk. AFC South, tougher than predicted, with the Texans coming on, right? Or am I calling that right? No, I'm not. It's they have the AFC North and the NFC East. So not a super easy draw in either case. They won the games that they should have there with the Commanders and the Giants dominating the Giants. It's a good thing there's no Giants fan on the panel at the Huddle Up podcast, but yeah, I'm trying to find a way to I'm going to give him a B. I said B+ earlier. I'm changing it to a B.
I'll go C for the same reasons. You got to get one more game out of that, though, man. Seriously. C means satisfactory. They are where I thought they'd be this year, 9-8 ish in that ballpark.
Well,
so they're not
pretty close. I said 2, and you're penalizing them. I don't get
it's not penalty. Penalties being D. D's disappointing. C is satisfactory. I thought it was actually a decent year. You get one more win.
They had to say it satisfactory, and granted, maybe I did expect it, but I don't know.
One of those Rams, if you get one of those Rams games, you're in the playoffs.
So again, we're back to 2 points away from doing it, but you've got them just right in the middle. I can't meet you.
That's C's fine. C's fine. All right, 2 more teams here. Tennessee Titans, 6-11.
All I'm telling you is look out for that parent-teacher conference.
Okay. Okay, Pete Carroll. All right, 6-11, Tennessee Titans. This is actually harder for me. I'll tell you what in a second.
I'm sorry. I'm just remembering all the trash. Wait, I'm on your show. I'm just remembering all the shit that was talked on me by Mike Patton and Cortland Griffin of the 3-point conversion Bing for picking the Titans to win only 7 games. Okay, I'm good.
Wait, they had more than that?
What's that?
They thought they win more than 7 games?
Yes.
bro.
These delusional so-and-sos that are Titans fans thought they were actually going to compete for the division.
What the hell are they fucking watching?
Apparently
Because
their own roster.
to be honest with you, I'll skip you real quick. They actually overexceeded my expectations this year. 6-11
strength of the Week 18 win.
I thought they'd be fucking like a 4-win team this year. So I went C-.
So they outperformed you by 3 games, and you got them at C-. That's
maybe a C. Maybe a C.
But here's the thing: C- is exactly where I'm at.
Okay.
So, considering that they thought that they couldn't make up their mind at quarterback, I mean, Tannehill got hurt, obviously, but now you're trying to move between Music City, Malik Willis, and Will Levis, and
it is Levis though. Levis got hurt, so it is Levis going forward.
Levis got hurt later. Yeah, I think that's going to be an abject disaster. I can make the argument now that the Titans are playing to avoid being in the basement. And the argument might be made for the Jags at 3rd. I'm not there yet, but we'll get into that next year, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Punchline being this: I have C- for the Titans this year.
Yeah, I straddle to C-. C- is fine. That's where it should be. All right, finally, last team here, the Washington Commanders, 4-13.
I mean,
it's an F. Come on, dude.
Well, here's the thing, buddy. Like, I can't go full F because I only had them winning 5 games in the first place. Like, you're going to give them a D, or I'm going to give them a D just simply because, okay, new ownership, this is a teachable moment. I'm not going to fail you because I still want you in my class so you can learn next year and build. Okay? But Sam Howell. Shouts to my guy Drew Willingham. Anyways,
how many L's he has in his name?
Daniel Howell has 3 L's in his name by himself, and he said, "Well, Kyle, Travis Holmes has an L in his name," and I'm like, "Yeah, I hand him an L every week when he debates me on the Duval Dive." Boom. Anyway,
damn.
Oh, hey, listen, you're an NBA guy. I thought you liked dunks. Anyways, no, but yeah, yeah, I got a D. If you want to give him an F, I'm not mad at you, but I'm gonna give him a D.
Yeah, it's a good F though. F+. F+.
Just like there's no such thing as a must win in week 1, there is no such thing as an F+.
Yeah.
Okay, you're into music. It's not a C sharp, or no, it's not a G sharp. It's an A flat. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
All right. So there's a letter grades. Of course, like next week we'll do a letter grades for all the losing teams of wildcard weekend, and then so on as we end the year.
Well, eliminate teams. Nobody in the playoffs this week is a losing team, and I think that fact needs to be highly stressed this year.
Yeah. And we'll touch on obviously we'll hear Kyle's the thoughts on the games at large coming up. We'll have that on the Studio Game podcast on tomorrow. Recording tomorrow, right? Yeah, on his show. We save that for his show. One last thing,
by the way.
Oh, Mikey B's right. One last thing he's got here. Last night national title game. Michigan finally does it. First national title in 27 years. Beat Washington 34-13. Your thoughts, sir?
Man, listen. When they came out with those 2 big rushing touchdowns, I remember talking about the game on Huddle Up, and you remember what I said. I did pick Washington. I didn't like doing it. And as I watched it, I'm like, I tried to tell me, but I wouldn't fucking listen. You know what I'm saying? But I make that joke, EJ Christian, and you picked Michigan with the over. And I think the one thing that I didn't account for that you got lucky and guessed on or accounted for, but since it's football, I think you guessed. I'll put it this way. I wasn't aware how good the corners were. Mm-hmm. I completely overestimated or underestimated them, depending on how you look at it, the ability to shut down the pass game and prevent the big play.
Yeah.
That was absolutely amazing.
That one play where the guy, the receiver catches the ball, he's out of position and he still holds on to the guy early in the game. That was like, oh my God, this team is business. And
if I remember correctly, you're talking about the Washington receiver, right?
Right, correct.
And if I remember,
couldn't get away.
The catch in question was fucking called back for a hold.
Oh shit.
Oh, whoops.
Yep. No, this culminates everything of Jim Harbaugh we said for 7-8 years now. Stay the course. Stay the course. This team, he'll figure it out. He's a culture changer. We see this build since 2015. This build, let's get the team back to contention. Let's beat Ohio State. Let's get to the playoff. And now let's get over the hump. And they finally did it. Here's my question. Did we see Jim Harbaugh's last game as Michigan head coach? Last night.
We've had this conversation on this podcast, and we're actually very efficient for doing grades. So I'll elaborate this way. On this and other pods, I have called for HR to drug test people who thought Jim Harbaugh was going to the pros. Now that the hamburger controversy has come up, now that the Connor Stallions thing has become as big as it has, now that he has a championship and can tell everybody to, hey, calm down, here's a free hamburger. That's been my whole thing to Buckeye fans on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I need to calm down and eat a hamburger after I tried to tell me, but I wouldn't fucking listen. Sounds like a good idea for lunch. Anyways, man, with all that's brewing, I've been I haven't had the opportunity to outright say it on a show, which I know doesn't count for a prediction, but if I was having my version of a Discussions with a Nobody podcast like Jim Neese does of the Huddle Up podcast, bing! There's a fucking drop for you. How about that?
I like that.
I would have mentioned at some point in my own musings that at this point, it's going to be just like Jerome Bettis in Detroit winning the Super Bowl. He got it. The bus is done running. I think Harbaugh's retirement, regardless of I think it's 10-year, $145 million contract Michigan has on the table, in the face of a scandal, by the way, and the face of a scandal, by the way, there's too many good NFL, air quotes, good NFL situations out there that are about to look for a coach for Harbaugh to say no. If he's serious about coming back and filling that Super Bowl void in his life, so then he could finally look his brother in the eye at Thanksgiving, assuming John doesn't win a second one, by the way, this year, because it's
exactly
currently trending that fucking way. San Diego, I know, is the popular one. I just don't feel like that's going to happen.
They're cheap.
Well, right, exactly. We've seen that fail with Jed York. That's a great point. In San Francisco specifically. The Raiders is one everyone's talking about. No, I think that's just too much of a cluster. The Davises and Harbaugh does not sound like a fit.
I know they can afford it too. They're paying Gruden still and paying McDaniels.
Those contracts were stupid. That's a great point. All the more reason why your boy Pierce might get his first coaching job.
Yeah, and rightly so.
And rightly so. Well, you say rightly. There's a part of me that wonders if it makes sense for him to get a job before Bieniemy does, but I think that's more of a Bieniemy problem than it is anyways.
More of internal hire.
Yeah, timing's a funny thing. And then lastly, as much as I thought Chicago would never happen before, it's hard for me to see any coach with any clout pass up the opportunity in the event of a reboot. So, but with those three on the table, those are pretty appealing jobs on the field. Now, we mentioned the little factors that could be problematic, the money tie-ins with the Gruden contract, the Spanos family being just absolute notorious in their handling of things in the former San Diego, right? But if I was to guess right now, like, it feels the most likely that the Bears would be a fit. I don't think he's going to Atlanta.
I think the optics. I just think it's perfect timing where the Bears are at now as a franchise, what they potentially could do with the field situation, with the
and the
draft pick
in the North. That's a great point.
This spells itself. There's history there. Harbaugh's a former quarterback for the Bears. I mean, is this history there at this point? It makes sense.
And a point that I don't think is being made enough of, EJ Christian, is we hear all the time copycat league. What's more copycat than in a division with a coach like Man Campbell that you then stand pat by bringing in a Jim Harbaugh, who's Man Campbell with less muscle and more khakis?
It's literally the black and blue division for a reason.
I mean, well, yeah, and the one outlier is Matt LaFleur. I get it.
Right. I mean, what job he's done in Green Bay this year, honestly, considering everything that played out. No, but
I still don't. Honestly, I think it's somewhere in the middle with him.
Young team, but again, young team. But whatever. I mean, the point is with Harbaugh, you can't write the script even better than this. It's set on a platter. My question is, does Bears ownership, who is also cheap, historically cheap, pony up, say, you know what, put it in his hands, give him power, give him
Cutler, anything is possible, right? No, I make that joke. You say I would say this. There's only one thing that's more perfect, and here's where we're coming to the why this is even a conversation to make it full circle. The only thing more perfect is Jim Harbaugh being in Michigan, winning a championship. Oh wait, he done it. So
right. No, I think Harbaugh to the Bears it makes sense. I won't put prediction there because I'm not sure how the Bears feel about that. They haven't fired Eberflus yet. I wonder if they're waiting to see if Harbaugh decides to get out of there, and then they'll pull a trigger on Eberflus and go after Harbaugh. It just makes sense, dude.
Now, that being said, though we don't think it'll happen, you and I, at this point, if the Pats part ways with Belichick, I'm 100% in that they get Harbaugh.
Will they give Harbaugh power, though, in the same way they gave Belichick?
I don't see why they wouldn't. I'll put it that way. Because that's the kind of candidate that has the clout and respect. By the way, he has a pretty good record against Belichick, too. Not for nothing. But I think he's if somebody was going to be given power like that, it may not be quite as much power as Bill. That was asinine. But my short answer is yeah. I feel like they would do that because they need the personnel help that bad.
I'll say as much. If you're the Bears, you don't go after Harbaugh, you're morons. You don't deserve any success ahead of you. This is a storied franchise that hasn't done shit. You went to one Super Bowl in 2006 with Dress Grossman, and that's all you have to show for it since '85.
Yeah, I'm hearing the other names out there that are coaching candidates.
Charger or candidates or teams.
Candidates, like the people who they're looking to fill the jobs at these other places. Like they don't move me.
There's nobody else. I mean, other than Belichick, hypothetically,
I'll say this: the offensive coordinator for the Texans getting play, I think, is the one that actually tilts my eyebrow. I'm not as moved by any of the Ravens coaching staff yet getting that job, getting a head coaching job. Though the argument could be made that the Falcons could be the exception if the Ravens offensive coordinator goes. I know there was talk of I think it was the Chargers DC was getting considered for a head coaching job. I'm like, fucking why? You know what I'm saying? So I think, and forgive me for not remembering his name because he deserves me remembering his name and I don't, but the Texans OC needs to get a butt ton of credit for sure.
Right. No, Harbaugh to the Bears makes the most sense. Just make it happen. If you get any intel that Harbaugh's leaving, which I think which for the record, my prediction is that he coached his last game in Michigan last night, in my opinion. There's just too much optics around that program at this point now just to stick around. You won the title, so too, on top of that, perfect way to go out. I
mean, yeah, the Pete Carroll route would make sense.
Yeah. Kyle, plug away, buddy.
An honor, joy, and privilege to report to you once again, folks. I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter at the SOTG. Find me on Instagram and Threads as the same, the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. Check out my writings with the Jaguar Report, where I drop the top moments for the Jacksonville Jaguars on 2023. And by the way, they're not all positive. a little bit of a realistic look at the 2023 season and what was good and bad about it, then yeah, check out my work with the 3-point conversion, as well as A7BN Sports, where you'll find my work with the NBA, specifically the Orlando Magic, and Black and Gold Banneret, men's and women's basketball. The conference slate has started. Boy, hey, newsflash there, EJ Christian. The Big 12, good at basketball. Anyways, an honor, joy, and privilege, EJ Christian, to be aboard. Until next time, my friends. Class. This.